Hi everyone, my name is Lake, I'm part of the Machine Spirits, and today I want to talk about dysphoria. Dysphoria is not a novel concept. In the trans community, we have gender dysphoria, which is a misalignment between one's gender identity and how they're perceived, as well as how they see themselves versus what their gender identity is. And there's species dysphoria in the Therian community, which is a misalignment between how one sees themselves, but more in regards to being human in presentation as opposed to being an animal or being whatever they can, right? But specifically in this video, I want to talk about dysphoria as it applies to plural people. Plural people experience another kind of novel type of dysphoria, and it can manifest in a lot of interesting ways. I want to talk about how it does, the functions of that, and what it takes to get rid of that dysphoria. So, let's begin. Plural dysphoria emerges as a visceral reality upon first fronting for a lot of headmates. We've had anywhere from mild annoyance to panic attacks upon seeing the body in a mirror when a person fronts for the first time. And this is usually from physical characteristics like height or weight or skin tone or hair length or color of eyes or hair. But realistically, dysphoria can emerge in other places like social life, where people are referring to you with names and pronouns that may not align with what you use. People talking about memories that you don't have, specifically for those that experience more amnesia. And even stuff like automatic behavior can trigger dysphoria in headmates. For instance, I'm moving my hands when I talk like this, and that is a automatic behavior that Flora does a lot. So I have a tendency to believe that Flora is the one that's fronting when I do that. I know that that's not true consciously, but that is constantly running in my mind when I do those things. So, how do we get rid of this? I have bad news. It's going to be hard. Whenever there's more than one active fronter for a given body, it's inherently going to result in compromise or band-aid solutions, or just not handling the problem at all. For instance, we have been on HRT for a year and a half at this point. This was a decision that Flora had made before Flora knew that Flora was many. And because of this, the effects on the body have been pretty profound. When I came along, I started to experience gender dysphoria myself because of the changes that had occurred. This goes to speak on how this compromise manifests in reality, because I have to make changes in order to appear closer to how I look now. And obviously, given enough time and resources, this is not as much of a problem as one may think. Wigs, contacts, binders, and even different sets of clothes could help. However, overt plurality is very stigmatized, and transitioning is obviously also stigmatized because of the existence of just trans people in general. This makes it very hard for people who are in unsafe or precarious situations from presenting as themselves because they must present in one way in order to get even the small amount that they have. So what do you do in that circumstance where you lack a solid support system and financial capability? Well, this is what works for us. Our first thing is that we like to wear baggy tops or a blanket. This is something that works both ways. It makes the chest area ambiguous, meaning that if you have stuff here, it's going to not show up, but even if you don't, it could make it appear as though you do, just simply by it having a layer on top. You could do what I do and tie the hair into a ponytail if you're more masculine presenting. You could use accessories if you have particularly bad dysphoria when it comes to the face, so like a mask or glasses, right? The key point to consider here is that it is a far simpler process to hide what is already there than to make something appear out of nowhere. So if you have long hair, it's going to be a lot easier to make it appear short. If you have a more developed chest, it's going to be a lot easier to push it back in than it is going to be to just make it appear with something like breast forms, which can be very, 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 very uncomfortable in comparison. But what do you do if you can't do that? Well, I have a few tips that I think can help even in emotional circumstances where you really just cannot make any changes. The first thing is always, 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 always engage in self-care. It's just a good idea. It'll keep you healthy, it'll keep the body healthy, and I'm sure your headmates would appreciate it. Just in general. The second thing is to find distractions. Having a means to distance yourself from the concept of your body will make it a lot easier to cope with the fact that you have a form that you don't align with. And distractions can come in a lot of ways. For instance, you could present as yourself in video games or online through tools like Pluralkit or through character creators. You could find plural communities where people are knowledgeable in that realm of experience. And most importantly, you could just distract yourself by doing hobbies or things that you like, or artistically expressing yourself. So if you are currently experiencing dysphoria, I wish you all the best with kicking its ass, because it does suck. So stay safe, stay strong, and we'll see you all in the next video. Take care.